Okay, so this evening's readings, I've decided to center them around the practice of sense restraint, part of the six sense bases contemplation from the fourth Satipatthana. And there's many different contemplations on the six sense bases. And the book of the six sense bases, the Salayatanasamyutta, in this collection of the connected discourses of the Buddha, the Samyutta Nikaya, has many different approaches to contemplation of the six sense bases. And sense restraint is one of the focuses that you can have for exploring the six sense bases. And I thought it would be a good one for a monastic community. And the practice of sense restraint is very much integrated into the Buddha's gradual path, and something that's emphasized very much in the monastic communities. So I thought spend some time with that. And there's a particularly lovely set of suttas that center around sense restraint in the Salayatanasamyutta. So just really encourage people to explore that. And there's many more than what I have time to read this evening. So I thought I'd start with just a bit of an introduction from the introduction. So these are the words of Bhikkhu Bodhi in the introduction to this Salayatana Wagga. And I'm just taking a couple of paragraphs that I think are particularly pertinent to sense restraint, starting on page 1127 of his translation. The practice of sense restraint is necessary in the Buddhist training, not only to avoid the mental distress provoked here and now by attachment and aversion, but for a reason more deeply connected to the ultimate aim of the Dhamma. The doctrine of dependent origination reveals that craving is the propelling cause of suffering, and craving springs up with feeling as its proximate cause. Feeling occurs in the six sense bases as pleasant, painful, and neutral feeling, and through our unwholesome responses to these feelings, we nourish the craving that holds us in bondage. To gain full deliverance from suffering, craving must be contained and eradicated, and thus the restraint of the senses becomes an integral part of the discipline aimed at the removal of craving. There is also a cognitive side to the teaching on sense restraint. Craving and other defilements arise and flourish because the mind seizes upon the signs, nimitta, and the features, anubhyanjana, of sensory objects, and uses them as raw material for creating imaginative constructs to which it clings as a basis for security. This process, called mental proliferation, papancha, is effectively synonymous with conceiving, manjana. These constructs, created under the influence of the defilements, serve in turn as springboards for still stronger and more tenacious defilements, thus sustaining a vicious cycle. To break this cycle, what is needed as a preliminary step is to restrain the senses, which involves stopping at the bare sensum without plastering it over with layers of meaning whose origins are purely subjective. Hence the Buddha's instructions to the bhikkhu Malankiyaputta, quote, "In the seen there will be merely the seen," and the beautiful poem the bhikkhu composes to convey his understanding of this maxim. So then, just following that part of the introduction, Bhikkhu Bodhi lists a number of suttas that are particularly pertinent to sense restraint. In his introduction, he mentions them one by one, and rather than reading his brief comments about each one of those, I'm just going to go straight to them, and we'll just read them. Some of them are quite delightfully, I find, hard-hitting in a way. The Buddha doesn't mince any words with some of his similes, and I just think that the directness with which he speaks is very useful, very instructive for us. So the first one is in the book of Six Sense Bases in the Salayatanasamyutta, and it's number 228 on page 1226. Number 228. It's called The Ocean. Bhikkhus, the uninstructed worldling, speaks of, quote, the ocean. But that is not the ocean in the noble one's discipline. That is only a great mass of water, a great expanse of water. The I, bhikkhus, is the ocean for a person. Its current consists of forms. One who withstands the current consisting of forms is said to have crossed the ocean of the eye with its waves, whirlpools, sharks, and demons. Crossed over, gone beyond, the Brahman stands on high ground. The ear, bhikkhus, is the ocean for a person, and on through the six sense bases, ending with, the mind is the ocean for a person. Its current consists of mental phenomena. One who withstands that current, consisting of mental phenomena, is said to have crossed the ocean of the mind with its waves, whirlpools, sharks, and demons. Crossed over, gone beyond, the Brahman stands on high ground. This is what the Blessed One said. Having said this, the Fortunate One, the teacher, further said this. One who has crossed this ocean so hard to cross, with its dangers of sharks, demons, waves, the knowledge master who has lived the holy life, reached the world's end, is called one gone beyond. Number 230, the fisherman simile. Bhikkhus, suppose a fisherman would cast a baited hook into a deep lake, and a fish on the lookout for food would swallow it. That fish who has thus swallowed the fisherman's hook would meet with calamity and disaster, and the fisherman could do with it as he wishes. So too, bhikkhus, there are these 6 hooks in the world for the calamity of beings, for the slaughter of living beings. There are, bhikkhus, forms cognizable by the eye that are desirable, lovely, agreeable, pleasing, sensually enticing, tantalizing. If a bhikkhu seeks delight in them, welcomes them, and remains holding to them, he is called a bhikkhu who has swallowed Mara's hook. He has met with calamity and disaster, and the evil one can do with him as he wishes. There are, bhikkhus, sounds cognizable by the ear, and then on through the 6 sense bases, mental phenomena cognizable by the mind that are desirable, tantalizing. If a bhikkhu delights in them, the evil one can do with him as he wishes. There are, bhikkhus, forms cognizable by the eye that are desirable, lovely, agreeable, pleasing, sensually enticing, tantalizing. If a bhikkhu does not delight in them, does not welcome them, and does not remain holding to them, he is called a bhikkhu who has not swallowed Mara's hook, who has broken the hook, demolished the hook. He has not met with calamity and disaster, and the evil one cannot do with him as he wishes. There are, bhikkhus, sounds cognizable by the ear, etc., mental phenomena cognizable by the mind that are desirable, tantalizing. If a bhikkhu does not delight in them, the evil one cannot do with him as he wishes. Number 235, the exposition on burning. Bhikkhus, I will teach you a Dhamma exposition on the theme of burning. Listen to that. And what, bhikkhus, is the Dhamma exposition on the theme of burning? It would be better, bhikkhus, for the eye faculty to be lacerated by a red-hot iron pin, burning, blazing, and glowing, than for one to grasp the sign through the features in a form cognizable by the eye. For if consciousness should stand tied to gratification in the sign or in the features, and if one should die on that occasion, it is possible that one will go to one of 2 destinations, hell or the animal realm. Having seen this danger, I speak thus. It would be better, bhikkhus, for the ear faculty to be lacerated by a sharp iron stake, burning, blazing, and glowing, than for one to grasp the sign through the features in a sound cognizable by the ear. For if consciousness should stand tied to gratification in the sign or in the features, and if one should die on that occasion, it is possible that one will go to one of 2 destinations, hell or the animal realm. Having seen this danger, I speak thus. It would be better, bhikkhus, for the nose faculty to be lacerated by a sharp nail cutter, burning, blazing, and glowing, than for one to grasp the sign through the features in an odor cognizable by the nose. For if consciousness should stand tied to gratification in the sign or in the features, and if one should die on that occasion, it is possible that one will go to one of 2 destinations, hell or the animal realm. Having seen this danger, I speak thus. It would be better, bhikkhus, for the tongue faculty to be lacerated by a sharp razor, burning, blazing, and glowing, than for one to grasp the sign through the features in a taste cognizable by the tongue. For if consciousness should stand tied to gratification in the sign or in the features, and if one should die on that occasion, it is possible that one will go to one of two destinations, hell or the animal realm. Having seen this danger, I speak thus. It would be better, bhikkhus, for the body faculty to be lacerated by a sharp spear, burning, blazing, and glowing, than for one to grasp the sign through the features in a tactile object cognizable by the body. For if consciousness should stand tied to gratification in the sign or in the features, and if one should die on that occasion, it is possible that one will go to one of two destinations, hell or the animal realm. Having seen this danger, I speak thus. It would be better, bhikkhus, to sleep. For sleep, I say, is barren for the living, fruitless for the living, insensibility for the living, than to think such thoughts as would induce one who has come under their control to bring about a schism in the Sangha. Having seen this danger, I speak thus. In regard to this, bhikkhus, the instructed noble disciple reflects thus. Leave off lacerating the eye faculty with a red-hot iron pin, burning, blazing, and glowing. Let me attend only to this. So the eye is impermanent, forms are impermanent, eye consciousness is impermanent, eye contact is impermanent. Whatever feeling arises with eye contact is conditioned, whether pleasant or painful, or neither painful nor pleasant. That too is impermanent. Leave off lacerating the ear faculty with a sharp iron stake, burning, blazing, and glowing. Let me attend only to this. So the ear is impermanent, sounds are impermanent, ear consciousness is impermanent, ear contact is impermanent. Whatever feeling arises with ear contact as condition, that too is impermanent. Leave off lacerating the nose faculty with a sharp nail cutter, burning, blazing, and glowing. Let me attend only to this. The nose is impermanent, odors are impermanent, nose consciousness is impermanent, nose contact is impermanent. Whatever feeling arises with nose contact as condition, that too is impermanent. Leave off lacerating the tongue facility with a sharp razor, burning, blazing, and glowing. Let me attend only to this. The tongue is impermanent, tastes are impermanent, tongue consciousness is impermanent, tongue contact is impermanent. Whatever feeling arises with tongue contact as condition, that too is impermanent. Leave off lacerating the bodily faculty with a sharp spear, burning, blazing, and glowing. Let me attend only to this. The body is impermanent. Tactile objects are impermanent. Body consciousness is impermanent. Body contact is impermanent. Whatever feeling arises with body contact as condition, that too is impermanent. Leave off sleeping. Let me attend only to this. So the mind is impermanent. Mental phenomena are impermanent. Mind consciousness is impermanent. Mind contact is impermanent. Whatever feeling arises with mind contact as condition, that too is impermanent. Seeing thus, bhikkhus, the instructed noble disciple experiences revulsion towards the eye, forms, and revulsion, by the way, is Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation in this volume of Nibbida, more often translated as disenchantment. One could say the noble disciple experiences disenchantment towards the eye, forms, eye consciousness, eye contact, and whatever feeling arises with eye contact as condition, whether pleasant or painful, or neither pleasant nor painful. Towards the mind, mental phenomena, mind consciousness, mind contact, and whatever feeling arises with mind contact as condition. Experiencing disenchantment, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge. It's liberated. He understands. Destroyed is birth. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. This, bhikkhus, is the Dhamma exposition on the theme of burning. Number 240, the simile of the tortoise. Bhikkhus, in the past, a tortoise was searching for food along the bank of a river one evening. On that same evening, a jackal was also searching for food along the bank of that same river. When the tortoise saw the jackal in the distance searching for food, it drew its limbs and neck inside its shell and passed the time, keeping still and silent. The jackal had also seen the tortoise in the distance, searching for food, so he approached and waited close by, thinking, when this tortoise extends one or another of its limbs or its neck, I will grab it right on the spot, pull it out, and eat it. But because the tortoise did not extend any of its limbs or its neck, The jackal, failing to gain access to it, lost interest in it and departed. So too, bhikkhus, Mara, the evil one, is constantly and continually waiting close by you, thinking, perhaps I will gain access to him through the eye or through the ear or through the mind. Therefore, bhikkhus, dwell guarding the doors of the sense faculties. Having seen a form with the eye, do not grasp its signs and features. Since, if you leave the eye faculty unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and displeasure might invade you. Practice the way of its restraint. Guard the eye faculty. Undertake the restraint of the eye faculty. Having heard a sound with the ear, having smelled an odor with the nose, having savored a taste with the tongue, having felt a tactile object with the body, having cognized a mental phenomenon with the mind, do not grasp its signs and features. Since if you leave the mind faculty unguarded, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and displeasure might invade you. Practice the way of its restraint. Guard the mind faculty. Undertake the restraint of the mind faculty. When, bhikkhus, you dwell guarding the doors of the sense faculties, Mara, the evil one, failing to gain access to you, will lose interest in you and depart, just as the jackal departed from the tortoise. And then in verse, drawing in the mind's thoughts as a tortoise draws its limbs into its shell, independent, not harassing others, fully quenched. A bhikkhu would not blame anyone. Number 238, the simile of the vipers. Bhikkhus, suppose there were 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom. Then a man would come along wanting to live, not wanting to die, desiring happiness and averse to suffering. They would tell him, good man, these 4 vipers are of fierce heat and deadly venom. From time to time they must be lifted up. From time to time they must be bathed. From time to time they must be fed. From time to time they must be laid to rest. But if one or another of these vipers ever becomes angry with you, then, good man, you will meet death or deadly suffering. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then, bhikkhus, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom, that man would flee in one direction or another. They would tell him, good man, 5 murderous enemies are pursuing you, thinking, wherever we see him, we will take his life right on the spot. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then bhikkhus, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom and of the 5 murderous enemies, that man would flee in one direction or another. They would tell him, good man, a 6th murderer, an intimate companion, is pursuing you with drawn sword, thinking, wherever I see him, I will cut off his head right on the spot. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then bhikkhus, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom, and of the 5 murderous enemies, and of the 6th murderer, the intimate companion with drawn sword, the man would flee in one direction or another. He would see an empty village. Whatever house he enters is void, deserted, empty. Whatever pot he takes hold of is void, hollow, empty. They would tell him, good man, just now village-attacking dacoits will raid this empty village. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then bhikkhus, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom, and of the 5 murderous enemies, and of the 6th murderer, the intimate companion with drawn sword, and of the village-attacking dacoits, the man would flee in one direction or another. He would see a great expanse of water whose near shore was dangerous and fearful, and whose further shore was safe and free from danger. But there would be no ferry boat or bridge for crossing over from the near shore to the far shore. Then the man would think, there is this great expanse of water whose near shore is dangerous and fearful, and whose further shore is safe and free from danger. But there is no ferry boat or bridge for crossing over. Let me collect grass, twigs, branches, and foliage, and bind them together into a raft, so that by means of that raft, making an effort with my hands and feet, I can get safely across to the far shore. Then the man would collect grass, twigs, branches, and foliage, and bind them together into a raft, so that by means of that raft, making an effort with his hands and feet, he would get safely across to the far shore. Crossed over, gone beyond, the Brahman stands on high ground. I have made up this simile, bhikkhus, in order to convey a meaning. This is the meaning here. The 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom. This is a designation for the 4 great elements: the earth element, the water element, the heat element, the air element. The 5 murderous enemies. This is a designation for the 5 aggregates, subject to clinging. That is, the material form aggregate, subject to clinging. The feeling aggregate, subject to clinging. The perception aggregate, subject to clinging. The volitional formations aggregate, subject to clinging. The consciousness aggregate, subject to clinging. The 6th murderer, the intimate companion with drawn sword. This is a designation for delight and lust. The empty village. This is a designation for the 6 internal sense bases. If bhikkhus, a wise, competent, intelligent person, examines them by way of the eye, they appear to be void, hollow, empty. If he examines them by way of the ear, by way of the mind, they appear to be void, hollow, empty. Village attacking dakwats. This is a designation for the 6 external sense bases. The eye bhikkhus is attacked by agreeable and disagreeable forms. The ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, the mind is attacked by agreeable and disagreeable mental phenomena. The great expanse of water. This is a designation for the 4 floods. The flood of sensuality, the flood of existence, the flood of views, and the flood of ignorance. The near shore, which is dangerous and fearful. This is a designation for identity. The further shore, which is safe and free from danger. This is a designation for nibbana. The raft. This is a designation for the Noble Eightfold Path. That is, right view through right concentration. Making effort with hands and feet. This is a designation for the arousing of energy. Crossed over, gone beyond. The Brahman stands on high ground. This is a designation for the Arahant. The second to the last one that I've written down here for is the simile of the 6 animals, which is a very common known one, a very well-known one. And then I have another one. I guess we'll have time to do both of them. I was going to skip it because I think probably most people know. Do most people know the 6 animals simile? Anybody doesn't know it? Okay, you haven't heard it. It's a great one. I'll read it. Simile of the 6 animals. Bhikkhus, suppose a man with limbs wounded and festering would enter a wood of thorny reeds, and the kusa thorns would prick his feet and the reed blades would slash his limbs. Thus that man would thereby experience even more pain and displeasure. So too, bhikkhus, some bhikkhu here, gone to the village or the forest, meets someone who reproaches him thus. This venerable one, acting in such a way, behaving in such a way, is a foul village thorn. Having understood him thus as a thorn, one should understand restraint and non-restraint. And how, bhikkhus, is there non-restraint? Here, having seen a form with the eye, a bhikkhu is intent upon a pleasing form and repelled by a displeasing form. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body, with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Having heard a sound with the ear, through the 6 sense bases, he is intent upon a pleasing mental phenomenon and repelled by a displeasing mental phenomenon. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body, with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Suppose, bhikkhus, a man would catch 6 animals, with different domains and different feeding grounds, and tie them by a strong rope. He would catch a snake, a crocodile, a bird, a dog, a jackal, and a monkey, and tie each by a strong rope. Having done so, he would tie the ropes together with a knot in the middle and release them. Then those 6 animals, with different domains and different feeding grounds, would each pull in the direction of its own feeding ground and domain. The snake would pull one way, thinking, "Let me enter an anthill." The crocodile would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter the water." The bird would pull another way, thinking, "Let me fly into the sky." The dog would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter a village." The jackal would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter a charnel ground." The monkey would pull another way, thinking, "Let me enter a forest." Now, when these 6 animals become worn out and fatigued, they would be dominated by the one among them that was strongest. They would submit to it and come under its control. So, too, bhikkhus, when a bhikkhu has not developed and cultivated mindfulness directed to the body, the eye pulls in the direction of agreeable forms and disagreeable forms are repulsive. The ear pulls in the direction of agreeable sounds, and disagreeable sounds are repulsive. The nose pulls in the direction of agreeable odors, and disagreeable odors are repulsive. The tongue pulls in the direction of agreeable tastes, and disagreeable tastes are repulsive. The body pulls in the direction of agreeable tactile objects, and disagreeable tactile objects are repulsive. The mind pulls in the direction of agreeable mental phenomena, and disagreeable mental phenomena are repulsive. It is in such a way that there is non-restraint. And how bhikkhus is there restraint? Here, having seen a form with the eye, a bhikkhu is not intent upon a pleasing form, and not repelled by a displeasing form. He dwells, having set up mindfulness of the body, with a measureless mind, and he understands as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil unwholesome states cease without remainder. Having heard a sound with the ear, and through the six sense bases, having cognized a mental phenomenon with the mind, he is not intent upon a pleasing mental phenomenon, and not repelled by a displeasing mental phenomenon. He dwells, having set up mindfulness of the body, with a measureless mind, and he understands as it really is that liberation of mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. It is in such a way that there is restraint. Suppose, bhikkhus, a man would catch 6 animals with different domains and different feeding grounds and tie them by a strong rope. And then it goes through the same simile, through that same story. Now, when these 6 animals become worn out and fatigued, they would stand close to that post or pillar. They would sit down there. They would lie down there. So too, bhikkhus, when a bhikkhu has developed and cultivated mindfulness directed to the body, the eye does not pull in the direction of agreeable forms, nor are disagreeable forms repulsive. The same with the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. It is in such a way that there is restraint. A strong post or pillar, this, bhikkhus, is a designation for mindfulness directed to the body. Therefore, bhikkhus, you should train yourselves thus. We will develop and cultivate mindfulness directed to the body, make it our vehicle, make it our basis, stabilize it, exercise ourselves in it, and fully perfect it. Thus should you train yourselves. And lastly, Sutta number 95 in that collection, entitled Malankiyaputta. Then the Venerable Malankiyaputta approached the Blessed One and said to him, Venerable Sir, it would be good if the Blessed One would teach me the Dhamma in brief, so that, having heard the Dhamma from the Blessed One, I might dwell alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and resolute. Here now, Malankiyaputta, what should I say to the young bhikkhus when a bhikkhu like you, old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, come to the last age, asks me for an exhortation in brief? Although, Venerable Sir, I am old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, come to the last stage, let the Blessed One teach me the Dhamma in brief. Let the Fortunate One teach me the Dhamma in brief. Perhaps I may understand the meaning of the Blessed One's statement. Perhaps I may become an heir to the Blessed One's statement. What do you think, Malankiyaputta? Do you have any desire, lust, or affection for those forms cognizable by the eye that you have not seen and never saw before, that you do not see and would not think might be seen? No, Venerable Sir. Do you have any desire, lust, or affection for those sounds cognizable by the ear, for those odors cognizable by the nose, for those tastes cognizable by the tongue, for those tactile objects cognizable by the body, for those mental phenomena cognizable by the mind, that you have not cognized and never cognized before, that you do not cognize and would not think might be cognized? No, Venerable Sir. Here, Malankiyaputta, regarding things seen, heard, sensed, and cognized by you. In the seen, there will be merely the seen. In the heard, there will be merely the heard. In the sensed, there will be merely the sensed. In the cognized, there will be merely the cognized. When, Malankiyaputta, regarding things seen, heard, sensed, and cognized by you, in the seen, there will be merely the seen. In the heard, there will be merely the heard. In the sensed, there will be merely the sensed. In the cognized, there will be merely the cognized. Then, Malankiyaputta, you will not be by that. When, Malankiyaputta, you are not by that, then you will not be therein. When, Malankiyaputta, you are not therein, then you will be neither here, nor beyond, nor in between the two. This itself is the end of suffering. I understand in detail, Venerable Sir, the meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One in brief. And then in verse, having seen a form with mindfulness muddled, attending to the pleasing sign, one experiences it with infatuated mind and remains tightly holding to it. Many feelings flourish within, originating from the visible form, covetousness and annoyance as well, by which one's mind becomes disturbed. For one who accumulates suffering thus, Nibbana is said to be far away, having heard a sound with mindfulness muddled, having smelled an odor with mindfulness muddled, having enjoyed a taste with mindfulness muddled, having felt a contact with mindfulness muddled, having known an object with mindfulness muddled. For one who accumulates suffering thus, Nibbana is said to be far away. When, firmly mindful, one sees a form, one is not inflamed by lust for forms. One experiences it with dispassionate mind and does not remain holding it tightly. One fares mindfully in such a way that even as one sees the form, and while one undergoes a feeling, suffering is exhausted, not built up. For one dismantling suffering thus, Nibbana is said to be close by. When firmly mindful, one hears a sound, one is not inflamed by lust for sounds. When firmly mindful, one smells an odor, one is not inflamed by lust for odors. When firmly mindful, one enjoys a taste, one is not inflamed by lust for taste. When firmly mindful, one feels a contact, one is not inflamed by lust for contacts. When firmly mindful, one knows an object, one is not inflamed by lust for objects. For one diminishing suffering thus, Nibbana is said to be close by. It is in such a way, Venerable Sir, that I understand in detail the meaning of what was stated by the Blessed One in brief. Good, Malankiyaputta. It is good that you understand in detail the meaning of what was said by me in brief. It is in such a way, Malankiyaputta, that the meaning of what was stated by me in brief should be understood in detail. Then the Venerable Malankiyaputta, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's words, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on his right, he departed. Then, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and resolute, the Venerable Malankiyaputta, by realizing it for himself with direct knowledge, in this very life entered and dwelt in that unsurpassed goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. He directly knew, destroyed his birth, the holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. And the Venerable Malankiyaputta became one of the Arahants. Okay, that's it for the readings. Questions or comments?
What exactly is the distinction between the sign and the feature?
Signs and the features. Good question. My understanding of that signs is the word nimitta. I can't remember what the word features is in Pali. But the way that I think it's explained is that the sign is something like the enticing quality of a particular sense object. So it's like the sign of beauty. It's a felt experience that's representative of a certain quality. So it's the sign, or like you'd say, the sign of the quality of metta is that nimitta, that sign is, like a feeling of well-wishing or feeling of warmth. It's kind of the experience, the affective experience. The feature is that particular quality that results in the experience of that sign. Yeah, so like if you're looking at someone who's conventionally attractive and you like their eyes are the feature that causes the sign of beauty to arise in your affective experience.
So the sign is like the thing that gives rise to like pleasant or unpleasant or neutral feeling?
Well, it is the pleasant, in a sense, it is the feeling itself.
It's the feeling.
Yeah, and it gives rise to what it forms the basis for wanting, for desire, for seeking.
And then the feature is like what is cognized and what is perceived.
It's the actual object that causes that pleasing sign. Is that your understanding, Lin Paul?
I remember correctly, that's pretty close.
Yeah. So it's when it's like that's a classic use of those two word signs and features in regard to the six sense basis. So that's how you get wrapped up in confusion, delusion, desire, craving, aversion, is by inappropriately attending to the signs and features.
So is it the case that when in the first couple jhanas where there's a sense of pleasure with the body, that is the mind going out and delighting in the signs and features of a bodily sensation, and it's just of a skillful kind of use?
You look like you have your comment at the ready, please. Nimon cup.
No, in the sense that, I mean, on a certain level, yes, but it's one is paying attention to the signs and features in a skillful way, because the basis of the movement towards the first jhana, and of course laying the foundation for the second jhana, are vivicha akamehi, vivicha akusalehi dhammehi, so that it's secluded from sensuality, secluded from unwholesome dhammas, unwholesome qualities, so that that's your foundation. So it's a different quality of attending, and certainly the access point to that movement toward the jhanas is the pleasant sensation of the body, pleasant sensation of the mind, but it is not bound up with attachment and delight, and not bound up by aversion or repulsion.
Just to dovetail on that or amplify that, one can still experience and even enjoy pleasant feeling, particularly of a spiritual quality like the jhanas, without getting lost in its signs and features, as we were saying here. And then, as Paul was saying, the resultant quality being grasping, that doesn't have to be experienced with the condition of pleasant feeling.
Clarifying that the signs and the features don't inherently have a quality of like being clung to. It's just that that's what is clung to when someone who's not practiced goes and experiences the sensual world.
You have to be careful with that. I was going to say, yes, in a sense, you can experience the world of the senses without grasping at the signs and features, without clinging to them. Sometimes people use that as kind of a crazy wisdom kind of a thing also. So, it's like, well, I can do anything I want to as long as I don't attach to it, or as long as I don't grasp onto it, or as long as I don't cling to it. It's all impermanent, it all arises, so I'll just do whatever it is that's pleasurable, fun, enjoyable in the realm of the senses. And I don't have to worry about it as long as I'm not grasping. Oftentimes people do that with a sense of, it's diluted. It's a diluted thought, and that actually they really are involved in the world of wanting, desire, in terms of tanha, sensual craving, and then the clinging that results from that. So one has to be careful in applying that particular thought. Paul, you have a look on your face of comment.
Yeah. I mean very much so. But because it's the object is one thing and the relationship to it is something different, in the sense of because something can be conventionally attractive and beautiful and not be problematic. In the sense of like those I can't remember who read it, but the poems from the Mahakassapa delighting in the nature around him is beautiful, and it sort of is, but it's a basis for a wholesome delight. Similarly, one picks up something that can be conventionally unpleasant and use it for reflection, like contemplation of the body, contemplation of death. One can still take something that is conventionally unpleasant and not cling to it, not get caught in the aversion or fear.
Thank you.
That's the distinction between the khandhas and the upadana khandhas. Yeah, the khandhas, the 5 aggregates just as they are, versus the 5 aggregates affected by clinging.
That's kind of like what I was trying to ask.
Yeah.